Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the XD Live Show. I'm Andrew Sparrow.
And I'm Brian Spellman.
Today, we are at the beating heart of our product lifecycle world. Not a day passes without us highlighting how critical digital continuity is in today's fourth industrial revolution organization. And what's more central to that than the BOM? The bill of materials. Yes, today, first up, we are talking all about the BOM. And second up, every great design has to eventually turn into reality. It's what separates the men from the boys. It's talking about that and building something, creating something that buyers actually want and that buyers will actually buy. And so we're leading into the second half of the show today, where we talk to one of our closest friends from Dassault Systemes about the new smart way of manufacturing. Ready, set, let's go.
So we're about to bring in two solution architects from the UK to talk about the first ever live UBOM implementation. At the top of the hour, we'll jump in and take a quick news commercial break, and then we're going to finish off by talking with, sorry, there's a whole long list of things I was supposed to say there. We're going to edit that one out in bloopers. Oh, wait, it's a live show. We're going to jump into smart manufacturing with Deepak Sharma from Dassault. And if you manage to stay with us through all of this, we'll be rounding off with some more exciting news from our world.
You bet. Okay, it is 8:32, 8:33, so let's get the show underway. But before we do, everyone, please, there's a little thing on the side of your screen where you can ask questions. Hit that button, ask that question. There is no wrong time to ask the question. We may take it as we discuss. We may take it at the end of that small discussion. So please, jump on in there. Give us some difficult ones if you would. Sorry, guess.
Try to throw everybody off.
Yeah, exactly. So we're starting up with the Unified Bill of Material, the UBOM. Today, we invite on two guests who've been instrumental in putting live the first ever installation of the 3D Experience UBOM at a very large luxury automotive customer in the UK that remains nameless. Let you figure that one out.
Yeah, we're going to bring in two guests that we're going to talk with Paul and Khalifa. Paul has over 20 years of experience working in the engineering world, the majority of which has been working for an automotive OEM. He specializes in engineering design and EBOM, as well as migration topics. He always loves enjoying new ways, new ideas of solving problems, and I hear his sport of choice is bike riding almost every weekend.
Maybe even mountain biking, I think. Knowing Paul pretty well. Looks like more of a mountain biker than anything. And Khalifa Diop. So Khalifa, his 7 years of experience in industrial information systems. He's specialized in PLM topics of configuration and change management, and of course, the UBOM. He is fascinated by the problems of industry and the problems that they are facing. He's committed to the solutions that we can provide as a result of that. He is a football, or is that soccer? I'll let you decide on that one, Brian. He's a lover of that. He supports Liverpool. Don't hold that against him. And Barcelona after practicing when he was younger. So I'm not sure if that means he practiced for Barcelona, but I need to check on that with him when he joins us. So we just introduced both of you, but I've got to ask. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, guys. Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Hi, guys.
Yeah, you too, Paul. You too, Khalifa. Start us up.
Hi.
So did you practice for Barcelona? Did I get that right?
No, not really. I have practiced football when I was young in my local team hometown, but not in Barcelona. Yeah.
No,
Get
no,
it.
maybe a Barcelona local team. Okay. Good.
Absolutely.
All righty, gentlemen. Yeah. Welcome to the show again. Please, love to hear your own personal little elevator speeches, little things. Imagine we're all together in a little elevator. Unpleasant thought. Paul, kick us off.
Thank you for having me on today. I started out as digital mock-up, first off at Rover, a long time ago, moving into McLaren Automotive. I was there for 17 years. My role within automotive moved from digital mock-up, building the team, to CATIA automation, developing lots of tools within CATIA V5. Then I became a subject matter expert for a SAP deployment, which was a very interesting project. I then became a contractor after that for a couple of years, and that's where our paths crossed, Andrew. And then I was involved in a couple of big migration projects through that process, then eventually joined Capgemini, and now here we are at XDI.
Very good. Very good. Khalifa, thanks, Paul.
Yeah. So mine will not be as complementary as Paul. You can easily think about it, but I can say that I have been working for a few years now around PLM topics, especially for industries like energy, aerospace, automotive. So working on several positions as first of all technical, functional, and now as a solution architect. And outside of work, I'm, as you say before, Andrew, I'm passionate about football, and I can really say you this passion helped me really on my daily work, because doing solution architecture for me is like playing football game, because every anticipation that you are making in the game will allow you to be one step ahead of your opponent. So you can easily make the link between anticipating in the game and anticipating as a solution architect. So yeah, that's me.
So it sounds like that practicing with Barcelona helped out with your career in handling all this building material stuff. Just to be clear, are we talking about the white round ball or the brown oval ball?
No, I'm really talking about the one and official football one. So which is exactly the circular one. So yeah.
Right, and so.
Yeah, I think the Americans are outnumbered on this show. So back on topic, Paul, you have a lot of experience with building materials.
Yeah.
What is a BOM, and what are the related problems and complexities that you've seen companies encounter over the years?
So a BOM in its simplest form is just a collection of parts that are used to kind of build an assembly. So a BOM could be just a small number of parts, or it could be huge. So from working within the automotive industry, one of the vehicles that we were working on, for example, contained between 35 and 40,000 parts that made up that bill of materials. So, and that would have a depth of about 12 to 14 levels. Okay. So you can imagine that over time, this then gets really quite difficult to navigate, especially if you're trying to find objects that are not in an area, if you're trying to find an electrical object, if you're a chassis engineer, for example. So this that size then becomes quite challenging to navigate. Other problems are managing change. If you've got an object that is buried 14 levels down, the number of objects that you need to up-issue and revise to manage that change is significant. The knock-on effect of that is the updates of the drawings or the GD&T that may be associated to it. And so there's a huge amount of overhead that is required just to make small changes. There's also a lot of duplication if you're trying to manage different configurations. And so over time, you get so many people involved just in the management of it. Even trying to do simple tasks becomes quite challenging.
You bet, you bet.
So yeah, there's kind of a high-level overview of it.
Thanks, Paul. Khalifa, let's bring you in. So what is the UBOM? What is the Unified Bill of Materials, and how is that different from what Paul has just been talking to us about?
So yeah, so the unified bill of material is also a BOM, as Paul just said before, but it is an engineering concept which bring a common diversity dictionary applicable to all engineers' domains. What I want to say by here is that the truth will be only at one place and not at all level to be the and not at all level as Paul described just before for the all you can say concept. Okay, we can also say that it's different to the old BOM concept, such as one of his advantage is to avoid duplication of data. So we have only one master system and we'll have all the data on this system. And yeah, so basically we can say the unified bill of material will help to fix most of the issue that Paul just mentioned before.
How is it helping to fix those issues?
Yeah, it's helping to fill this issue. For example, I can give an example to be more in the real, we can say. Paul mentioned, for example, they have difficulty on navigating across several levels on the old BOM approach. The unified bill of material bring facilities on navigation between structure, as there is a link which exists, for example, between engineering and manufacturing BOM, between manufacturing BOM and bill of process BOM, and all of this link between these different BOM and his navigation will be very, very, very easy. And it's also help to reduce considerably all action that are not really, bringing value to the final product. Okay, and we can also say it's just help engineers to save a lot of time for their work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And therefore cost, etc. So makes sense. Okay. So how has Khalifa, how has it helped a large automotive company with their metrics? Something you've been dealing with.
So yeah. In fact, the unified bill of material concept is helping, for example, the large automotive company that you are mentioning in the beginning of the show to improve his metric. One things that we notice and we get feedback from the customer is that adopting UBOM concept help them to improve considerably all about collaboration and knowledge sharing between engineer department, which was very difficult in the past to manage, for example. And they have real metrics, and this thing is really improved by adopting unified bill of material concept. Other thing is also adopting unified bill of material process help them to reduce significantly late change and also the rework cost. You also mentioned this kind of thing. What I want just to explain here is using unified bill of material concept considerably improve metrics for our automotive company that we are talking, and it's helped them to make better decision on their product because the data is available and accessible to everyone. Yeah.
So we've noticed with implementations of anything kind of new or different, it really helps to make sure the whole business understands what's happening and is able to get everybody on the same page. What have you noticed specifically, or what do you wish as you're implementing UBOM in companies? What high-level concepts do you want the business to understand about UBOM?
Yeah, it is a very interesting question, and yeah, as you say, we just want to bring them a high-level view. Okay, we can go more in detail, but for example, what I really want them to understand and to have on mind is that unified bill of material is here to help them to simplify complex structure. Okay, if you have complex structure and you have difficulty navigation, unified bill of material will be there to help you. So it is something that you have to understand. And also, if you have to understand something else is it is also building a fluid interaction between your engineering department. Okay, so if I just want to summarize in few words, because we are just here to give an overview, if I can say these are key things that I have to understand about unified bill of material.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, let's cascade it now. Let's look downstream a little bit. Digital data thread. How does this affect the downstream areas and the impact on the existing old school EBOM, MBOM environment?
So, as we touched on, the EBOM is traditionally sort of a large, complex structure. And we touched on the fact that it's already difficult for the engineers to navigate. And you can imagine the challenge the manufacturing engineers would have as well, even as they're less familiar with the EBOM interaction. The manufacturing engineers have different requirements to the design engineers as to what they want to get out of their bill of material. So they end up creating another BOM, equally complex, the manufacturing BOM. So you then have to manage two kind of complex bill of materials. That is a challenge. The points that Khalifa is talking about, I think, are very important, because if you can at least simplify the EBOM and generate your UBOM, that can only be a benefit for the for the downstream activities and the people that interact with that EBOM. I think it's if you can make it simple, then that can only be a good thing.
And the UBOM, does it contain kind of process BOM, bill of process, production BOM, bill of process, SBOM? It's all in there, yeah?
Yeah, so it's all of the interlinking of the three main bill of materials.
Nice, nice. Good.
So how are you seeing implementing this, as if you were to look at other industries, maybe outside of automotive, how can you see implementing UBOM and adopting UBOM help other industries, and what benefits do you see there?
So the UBOM, as we touched on, is able to simplify these complex assemblies. An assembly can be a vehicle that that I've been involved in, but it's basically anywhere where you've got large complex assemblies. That's where its real benefit is. If you can simplify that interaction, then any industry that has, whether it be aircraft or marine, then you're going to see real benefits in there. So this isn't something that is only applicable to one industry, one automotive sector. It's something that can be used across industries.
Got it. So isn't it just a giant Excel workbook, really?
So, having been in situations where one works with an Excel workbook, we know that the challenges of that is the way that the objects aren't related to anything. It's time consuming to maintain. The performance issues of that workbook are horrific, deeply time consuming. This is the polar opposite of whatever an Excel workbook is. And Khalifa, I think you're quite good at explaining kind of some of these improvements.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have never worked in a kind of big Excel file, as I has less experience as Paul. But yeah, as I just explained before, I know.
You're saying I'm old, aren't you, Khalifa?
Yeah.
Oh, not really, not really, not really. I mean, what I just want to say is that what I know about Excel is, for example, everything is performing work on this side. You have sometimes, the possibility to work in kind of collaborative mode, but really, unified bill of material concept is far away from using just an Excel file. As I mentioned before, what we can see has benefits and what we can see has value that she's bringing is more much than only an Excel file. Okay, just to give one example, the like the intelligent interlink that's existing between different objects. For example, between engineer object and manufacturing one, to manufacturing and bill of process, for example. I'm not sure that you are able to manage this through an Excel file.
You
So
bet.
yeah,
No,
Yeah.
I can confirm.
Right.
I noticed that in that discussion, Khalifa managed to call Paul old, which brings another question to mind, which is, as you've seen people using these, shall we say, old school ways of doing things, and those who are used to using a traditional bill of material approach, say especially the engineers, how have you seen everybody trying to adopt and the effects of adopting the U-bomb? I guess this is a question for both Paul and Khalifa, whoever wants to dive in first.
yeah. Paul, can you go first? Yeah, you can go first.
So I past experience with the way that engineers operate is they're generally they like to question everything as part of their kind of psyche. But what invariably happens is once you kind of explain what you're trying to do and kind of the benefits that it brings, they may kind of, as you're going through the whole kind of deployment process, there's kind of a certain amount of resistance to it. When they actually start using it and they kind of then sort of think back to what they used to have, I've found in a number of cases now that they readily accept it and they actually kind of take on board the new processes and really work with it. So I think engineers will question and challenge you, but ultimately they're actually very receptive to new ideas and practices when you deploy kind of new business practices.
So you're saying as long as everybody's able to understand how the change is actually better in the longer run and helps, everybody else. I guess as long as we have communication happening, then it helps with all of these adoptions.
Exactly. Keep them involved and sort of ensure that they are actively participating in what you're trying to do.
Yeah, if I just if I just can add something to what Paul just said before. So yeah, we are currently implementing the in a large automotive company in the UK, but but to be honest, it is not yet fully deployed. Okay, the integration is still undergoing, so it's difficult to have all feedbacks. Okay, but what we can say, what we can notice as of today, is that, as also Paul said before, people are often very not happy or very tricky about some modifications that are impacting maybe their daily work. But we can say once they start working on the solution and they see all the benefits that they can have and the time that they are saving and everything that's going on this side, we can tell you that they are really happy to have this solution under their hand, and they're expecting to have more and more new functionality in the table. Yeah. Sorry.
Got it. Thanks, Khalifa. Thanks. So, okay, so let's just wrap that up. Where do we go from here with the U-bomb? What do you think happens in the future? Khalifa or Paul?
Khalifa, you start.
Yeah, I can maybe start for this. So for the future, I think for the company, okay, I will maybe start with something, and after I'll give you the overview on the future. If you think that you are in a company or in an industry and you are facing the issue that Paul mentioned before, okay, and you want a concept or an approach that can help you to facilitate your work in terms of engineering, I want to say, then U-bomb is definitely something that you need to explore. Okay. So for me, in the future, really, company will be, I can say, we will take time to jump into U-bomb concept. It will be very difficult for them in few years or in the future, really, to really like to bring all engineer domain in the same table. Something which is very important to understand before jumping, okay, is to define the specific use case for each engineering department. Okay, if you define those use cases, you will be able to find the link which have between them. And once you have this, yeah, UBOM will definitely help you on the issue that if you are facing the issue that we mentioned. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Paul, thoughts?
I think with any kind of large scale deployments, we understand the benefits of the UBOM and we've touched them in this session. But I think it's also about kind of how you deploy this. So there's kind of two things, even though it may be a very good idea and we can all see the benefits, the way that it's presented and implemented needs to be done carefully. As Khalifa said, we need to understand the use cases, and every functional area will have a slightly different requirements. Also, it needs to be understood that maybe that the benefits may not be realized within that kind of maybe in the engineering world, but it could be realized in the manufacturing world. So the implementation of the UBOM should be seen from a whole kind of deployment, not just from one specific area. So it's more of a holistic approach.
Yeah.
And also listen to feedback.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Paul. I think it really is that lack of syncing between manufacturing and engineering design that needs to come together, and this is the perfect excuse for that in a unified bill of material. It also answers the ongoing question of where does the MBOM reside, ERP or PLM? I think you just answered that one, so we'll stick it in the UBOM. Right way to go. Good. I think we're there. Good job, guys. Really great. Really interested. To me, UBOM is the way to go. It makes complete sense. Integration, time saving, synchronization. I mean, it's all out there. As you say, Paul, not something you do easily. Takes a little work, but the benefits outweigh the investment. Absolutely. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for joining the show and telling us a little bit about where the future is going and what we can expect. And I appreciate your time.
Cool. Thank you very much for having us.
Yes. See you, Europe.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Now, Andrew, all of this talk about changes, build materials, and all of that has reminded me that over the years, I think it'll be hard to be a part of this world that we're in and not have somehow been affected by a certain large aircraft manufacturer. And it's not often that we hear of some large programs being retired, but I guess everything has to end eventually. So this last week I was reading and talking about with 1,574 airframes built, the last Boeing 747 has just rolled off the assembly line at Everett, Washington.
You bet. The 747 was way back a high-risk venture for Boeing. It was led by a guy called Malcolm Stamper, the legendary chief engineer Joe Suter. And as an airliner, the project was spurred by Pan Am, if we remember that. I always think of Leonardo DiCaprio running because he was a Pan Am pilot. Good movie. But anyway, forget what it was called.
Catch Me If You Can.
That's the one. The airline that pioneered jet transport, they wanted a plane 2.5 times the size of what was then the current 707, with 30% lower seat mile costs. So with an advancing jet engine development, the project was feasible with 1960s technology. Pratt & Whitney developed the JT9D high bypass ratio turbofan. Try saying that when you're drunk. The launch customer, Pan Am, wanted the aircraft by the end of 1969, meaning Boeing's engineering teams had 1/3 less time than normal design and build than other aircraft. They succeeded amazingly, although industry experts 50 years ago felt that the 47 was a stopgap equipment as a passenger transport until the new generation of supersonic transport, such as Concorde and Boeing's own proposed what was 2707 were developed. But we know what happened there. And there's some new ones coming through, some new supersonic jets coming in. Very interesting. So it was more recently, the relentless drive for lower seat mile costs combined with high fuel prices that coincided with a change in the airline industry from more of a kind of a hub and spoke operations towards point-to-point travel using smaller aircraft. 747s will remain in service.
Sorry, I was just saying it was interesting seeing, they watched the industry go from small to big, and now going from these big airline or planes back to kind of the smaller ones. It's just an interesting phenomenon to watch.
Airbus 380 to, there we go. So the 47s are going to remain in service as a cargo aircraft for some years, but its days as a passenger carrier are numbered. So no more of those kind of double engine, double decker kind of aircraft out there that we see. I'm not aware of anything other than the 380 and the 47, but maybe the rest of you do. So there we go. Okay.
There's a lot of manufacturing involved in making aircraft. Manufacturing.
Yeah, you bet. So let's move on to something we're hugely excited to bring to the manufacturing world. This is a new but very proven solution for the smarter manufacturing world, a solution that's perfect for startups looking to pull through their latest disruptive innovation, or equally that legacy manufacturer looking for a low-risk step into the digital factory and world of 4IR automation. And to walk us through it is the brains behind the solution. Let me embarrass him. Who we got?
He's spent over 2 decades with the Delmia Apriso family. He's the manager of professional services for Delmia North America, and he's here to talk with us about digital transformation within this world of Delmia and Apriso. So, you know what? Let's just welcome him to the show. Let's bring it in right here. That was supposed to be a smooth click to bring you in.
That wasn't smooth. Hey, Deepak. How are you?
Hello, Andrew. Hey, Brian.
Hey, we just gave a short intro of who you are, but as we've learned, it's more fun to hear from somebody who they are themselves. So what is your elevator speech of who you are?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. My name is Deepak Sharma. I manage the professional services for Delmia NAM and helping our customers to implement enterprise manufacturing software. And I'm very glad to be part of our customers' digital transformation journey to help them be the trendsetters and the leaders in their market space. So I'm running 23 years with Dassault Systems. Very glad to be part of the different industry verticals with aerospace and defense, pharmaceuticals, industrial engineering, and happy to be here today.
Yeah, our pleasure. It really is. Deepak, you and I have been spending quite a lot of time together over the last few weeks and months. It's a real pleasure. It's an honor to work with you. So thank you again. So everyone, hyper-personalization, resilience, wastage, agility, manpower are all huge issues affecting manufacturing these days. But the solutions to these major business issues were always at a huge cost. They took way too long to implement, and they often came with enormous risk. So given that we deal with startups and legacy manufacturing organizations looking to probably break the legacy MES MOM solutions that they possibly even built in-house or are sitting on an Excel and a whiteboard, we set out to find something that mitigated all of those issues. We felt the industry was really, really missing a start small, scale fast solution, something that's low risk and low cost. And that was ranked as one of the very, very best in the world. I am delighted and excited to say we found it. Deepak, please talk us through the initiative, the solution, and to help those new and old manufacturers for that matter.
Yeah, you explained it pretty well, but I'll give you a little bit more information. I'm sure you're aware of Delmia Apriso as an enterprise manufacturing operation management software. And we've implemented very large manufacturing operation solutions for our customers across the different industry verticals. During these implementations, we have learned their customers business problems, challenging issues, and pain points. And what we have learned is during this course of time that 60% of the business processes are common across the industries. 20% are industry specific, and 20% are local site specific. So that gave us an insight of standardizing the common business processes across complex assembly, across fabrication and repetitive floors. And that gave the idea of coming up with a prepackaged solution. What you see in the screen is the business process accelerator. Now, the business process accelerator can be implemented as little as 10 to 12 weeks, because what we've done is we have consolidated all these best practices across the last decade with our team, and coming up with a solution to offer to our customers that they don't have to think about designing, blueprinting complex processes. That's all there. What they get is basically a consolidation of these flows that they can drop it to the lines, to the workstations, and there you go. You see the out-of-the-box KPIs. You're able to start assessing what the business challenges and issues are. And very glad to introduce this to our marketplace and work with our customers.
You bet. Excited to do so with you. So what are some of the industries that you've developed this solution for, these pre-configured solutions?
Well, we have touched upon almost 5 or 6 different industry verticals.
Okay.
Aerospace and defense, industrial engineering, pharmaceuticals, high tech, medical devices, and now we are entering into the new paradigm in the manufacturing industry, which is the startups for electric vehicles.
Yep.
A lot of battery manufacturers are looking at this, and BPA will offer them a great starting point, because then you can basically just think mostly about configuring. And we heard in the previous session about the U-bomb and M-bomb, and all we have to do in BPA is just get the M-bomb either from a PLM system like digital manufacturing for digital continuity, or from any other system, and there you go. You spend most of the time on making sure that the right amount of data is collected so that you can take informed decisions.
Got it.
So with all of this, what sort of measurable returns are you seeing in companies in the verticals?
Good question. It'll be very hard for me to list all of them in this session, but if I have to categorize them, I would pick up 2 areas. One is the business KPIs, and the second one is enabling growth. And for business KPIs, what we've seen is our customers getting a real boost in their operator efficiency so that the production throughput could be increased. And the second KPI that I see most beneficial is the material flow, which is very challenging, to make sure that the upstream and downstream operations are synchronized, and there is less material shortage, and not extra buffer on the line side, because that is also lost money for the companies. So with BPA, we have made sure that the material handling is synchronized among the shop floor operations. And lastly, the machine automation. The machine automation is a critical area, because many companies may think that with the new generations of IoT and Industrial 4.0, that the focus has to be on connecting the devices, which is important. But the decision has to be from the business layer, where you're driving the changes, you're making yourself prepared for any changes that might come or enhancing your solution.
Wow, so you're taking, this first bucket of KPIs sounds pretty cool, and I think that's enough to hear some cool measurable returns, but you mentioned a second bucket as well.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So the second bucket was enabling growth. Now, what we have observed is when customers create their solid foundation, right, and they have started getting all the KPIs and measurable outputs from their business operation, the next is to start thinking about their scaling up or scaling down their capacity, because that's very critical in the manufacturing space. A product life cycle could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Now you have to start thinking about the future. Now you have to start thinking about, do I diversify my product introductions, or do I sustain with my core and add more and more capacity? So those are the things that allows the manufacturing companies to take decisions quicker. With the BPA, they should be able to not spend too much time on the basic steps in the manufacturing, but they can start thinking about enabling growth. And that was my second area that I would categorize.
Got it. And BPA, as you mentioned, the acronym is Business Process Accelerator. Yeah.
That is correct. So the name we have given is to make sure to change the paradigm from a typical MES implementation into more manufacturing operations management, because it's not just production or quality, it's basically all the processes that happen in the manufacturing.
Absolutely. You raise a good point there. I think when we're talking to customers about this solution, and we often say to them, where do you start with manufacturing? The first thing they do is they hire a manufacturing manager. They don't start with a line engineer. And I think where a lot of people tend to go wrong, they may start looking at an MES solution that is purely line-based. And I think where we're coming from is start looking at the overall management layer, just like you have hired your manager or your head of manufacturing, your VP of manufacturing. Start with the control and the management and the oversight, and then cascade into the lines. Just thought I'd mention that. So what areas of manufacturing does the solution actually handle? Have you touched on it?
Yeah, briefly in the start, and I'll be happy to get more details maybe in the next sessions or so. When we started doing this business process consolidation, we started with the lines to measure the performance, and we called it line performance management, and that was the previous version of BPA. Very soon we realized that the problems are not primarily towards the production or quality. Don't get me wrong, these are all important aspects of first pass quality or first article inspection in the manufacturing, but the material handling is by far one of the most biggest challenge that we have seen with customers. And I'll give you an example is that there are multiple, and we heard again on the BOM side, then you can have multiple levels and you have multiple sub-assemblies, right? So when you have the sub-assemblies, some of them you may be procuring from outside, some of them you may be doing an outside processing. So when you have to synchronize all these sub-assemblies to make sure that they're the right time, they're in the right sequence in the assembly line, and if you don't have that, you may result in shutting down the line, or you may have an extra inventory on the line side. So with the BPA, now we have introduced not only just the production, the quality operations, but also the warehouse management. And I'm sorry, not exactly warehouse, but inventory management processes that link all these things together with addition of maintenance flows. So in a sense, this is an entire footprint of manufacturing operation management that you can literally, see the benefits of all the operations in the shop floor. And I think that's where most of our manufacturing customers are taking the benefit, and these are the areas for improvement, in my opinion.
Yeah. So if I'm a customer, I've cleaned up my data, I got it ready. How long would it take me? I think you touched on it earlier. I just want to clarify that. How long will it take me to implement production quality, machine integration, inventory?
Yeah. So what we've done is with the prepackaged flows with BPA, and if we are within the boundaries of that solution, we can implement this in as little as 10 to 12 weeks. I said about that. Now, the two areas that we would be spending time during this 10 to 12 weeks is the master data management, making sure that the data from the ERP or from the PLM is in our system. We have trained the shop floor operators and the supervisors with the train-the-trainer approach, and we have either we can go on the platform from on-premise or with AWS or Microsoft Azure. That's usually the trend these days. So I think with that setup, we are in a position to create this foundation for our customers, give them a platform, and then build a COE, Center of Operational Excellence, where we can train the customers' IT team or business IT team so that they're focusing mostly on introduction of the new line or introduction of the product, and not worrying too much about the core, which is something that our team has built so far. So with the BPA, that will allow them to control their destiny in the future. They don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars for writing the overall operations within the manufacturing execution layer, which was typically the approach in the past. But right now, things are changing. You want something out of the box, ready to be deployed in a very short period of time and less team. We're not talking about 8 or 10 consultants implementing this in 10 to 12 weeks. It's basically 2 to 3 consultants and overall governance of the whole solution. So that's why we're very proud of it. We are very excited. And I think this is going to help not only the large customers who are matured, but also small to medium business size manufacturing companies who probably are still doing the paper-based approach, or they have invested some money on the existing solution, but with the BPA, that gives us the best practice implementation for manufacturing floors.
I'm so pleased you mentioned the consultant numbers, because those consultants can be offshore and it can be dealt with at a low cost. But the reality is, if you've got a number of consultants on a solution that's meant to be out of the box, pre-configured, you shouldn't need the consultants, because the more consultants, the more risk, the more integration, the more development that's being done. I like that. Keep it small, tight, very few consultants involved, rapid, and you've got a low risk, fast, low cost solution going in. So good. Thank you, Deepak.
Yeah, I think you've touched on this a little bit, Deepak, but I'm curious to give you maybe a little more bragging area here too. But what are you finding is the areas where you've had the most impact? With startups, with legacy manufacturers, but just the most impact that you've seen for these businesses.
Yeah, I think with the startups, I would say that we are working with the electric vehicle companies, and that's where the biggest benefit is there. But then it's also with the bigger manufacturers that, let's say, if they want to introduce a new line, okay, and it's a completely new setup of bill of materials. The BPA allows them to extend it very quickly. And those are the critical benefits that we are seeing. And also, I mentioned that 60% of the common processes in manufacturing floor are consistent across the industries, right? You would still be doing the batch manufacturing, you would be doing the lot-based manufacturing or serialized in manufacturing, piece of one. So all these business processes we have thought of, and then we have embedded into the BPA.
Good. Thanks. So given that this is a light MES that we can start at the shop floor and eventually evolve into a full MOM, it can scale as the business grows. Does that mean if a company starts today that they are having to commit to a multi-million-dollar long-term investment and commitment, or can they keep it light if their business isn't growing?
Yeah, I mean, not at all. This is not a $1 million implementation, as I said.
Right.
We want our customers to use the benefit of the solution and create this foundation that can be enhanced, that can be improved upon as their business grows. So, and what we've done is we go with a fixed fee approach, and we'll implement BPA. And after that, for all the enhancements and stuff, we can continue to do the agile implementations so that they can do on their own pace. They can be prepared for it. They're comfortable with it. There's no enforcing that, no, you got to do this, in this sort of time frame, because what we have observed is sometimes the quality department may have their restrictions to go with the material management and so on and so forth. So I think that allows them to go and implement on their own pace, but it's not something that they're going to be paying the huge dollars. It's basically a package solution that they can benefit going forward.
Great, that's good. And let me round off. The one thing that really struck me, I think, when we started to look at this with you and work on this, was this is the only solution in the top quadrant of the Gartner Magic Quadrant that can be implemented within 3 to 4 months. With a small team, tight, low risk, low cost and rapid. So I mean that it's out on its own there, I've got to say, and Gartner backs us on it. So good job.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks, Deepak. I know your team worked extremely hard putting it all together, and it's into a number of different major customers. So excited to bring that through to the world.
Yeah,
Brian, I think we're there.
Yeah,
we're good.
Thanks for joining us, Deepak. And I think we have rumor is we have a lot more to learn about this in the future. So looking forward to other stuff that we're going to talk about with you. And this has just been fantastic. So thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Pleasure having here. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks, Deepak.
Now, Andrew, I think the answer to this question might have been slightly already answered if you're paying close attention to our little last section. But if I were to ask you the question, what industry ranks first in digital transformation, what would your guess be?
Aha. Let's set me up there for automotive industry. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. In fact, the sector scored a 3.7 out of 5 on ABI's Digital Transformation Index, which assesses digital maturity across 7 criteria, which includes robotics, manufacturing processes, software control, data management and analytics, connectivity, and worker enablement. Apparently, the automotive industry scored so highly because of the pressure that it is under in the face of an industry-wide transition to new types of ACES vehicles. Brian, what does ACES mean?
Well, when you're having a really good poker hand.
Feeble, autonomous, connected, electric, and subscription. The research points to a growing cohort of industrial cloud software as one of the main reasons digital transformation is on the rise, which includes CAD, PLM, MESMOM, and plant scale automation. So it's doing well. So despite the positive signs, research suggests that manufacturers shouldn't charge ahead first into large scale digital transformation projects. Be warned. Big ROI projects with undefined or lengthy periods of return simply do not cut it in the current macroeconomic environment. Manufacturers need to improve or maintain the current order of business through quick wins that solve immediate challenges and pain points. I mean, case in point is what we're talking about with Deepak all the way. So at the same time, suppliers want to ensure that they deliver that same value to the customer. Level 5, lights out manufacturing at scale, is still a little way off, everybody. Let's keep it simple. Let's evolve our business.
I think it's fun just watching all these, as we mentioned, even with aerospace, you saw changes from small to let's do everything in this big one aircraft, and now it's going back to let's do smaller ships and smaller aircrafts. And then automotive, seeing the same thing we just talked about is how even though the automotive industry is the one that's currently leading on digital transformation, it's still recommended not to just dive headfirst into large scale digital transformation projects. Just interesting that our world is, as it's getting bigger, is getting smaller at the same time. It's, yeah, I know it's something you hear a lot, but it's just neat to see that actually happening in the industries that we work with every day.
Yep, you bet.
And with that, we've managed to come to the end of a pretty information-filled show here.
You bet. You bet. So stay with us, everyone, as we continue to explore exciting new developments in the realms of the product lifecycle entirety, including manufacturing, bill of materials, and much, much, much more. We're going to see you all next month. New guests, new subjects, probably a little bit more on the MESMOM side of things as well.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining us as we took a deeper dive into the UBOM, the Apriso, and I think it's fair to say that we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg on all these changes in the world. There's a lot more to explore. And with that, I'm Brian Spellman.
And I'm Andrew Sparrow.
And we hope you have a great month. We're out of here.